Hello, and welcome to our show, Crooked Doctors.
Crooked Doctors, folks.
Hey, right here.
Today is Friday, March 28th, 2014.
Yes, it is.
And we're very fortunate to have a guest who's calling in from Newark, New Jersey, and that would be Mr. Kyle Screen, who's president of the Pavilion Tenants Association. Say hello, Kyle.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Kyle. Newark, New Jersey, folks.
Can you turn it up a little so we can hear him in the studio?
Yeah.
Hi, Kyle. So, Kyle, you're sitting home in front of your computer, and you've gone to our website.
That's right.
MNN.org, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and you're watching us on your computer?
Yep. Streaming
Yes,
live.
I'm watching you live.
That's right.
How do you like the photograph we put up?
It's great.
Beneath you, you'll see the photograph of Jason Berg,
That's right.
and oftentimes he will be sitting home in his computer and watching us from Jersey City.
That's right.
So this is fabulous.
Yeah.
We've extended our reach from Manhattan to Jersey City to Newark.
We're expanding.
Yeah, this is fabulous. So Jason, are you there?
Yes.
You want to say hello?
Hello, folks. Good to have you on board and listening to the great program of the Crooked Doctors, and fantastically, we have Lydia Radin, who brought me into this last year. Thank you so much, Lydia.
You're welcome. Kyle, I understand that you work closely with Eric Martindale, who's also a tenant advocate in Newark, yes?
Yes, I am. Actually, Eric helped us reinstate Newark last December, and now we have all our counties reinstated in the entire 21 counties.
Okay, what Jason's talking about, let me interrupt you, Jason. What Jason's talking about, Kyle, is Jason's talking about
Common law grand jury.
he's instituting common law grand juries because, and we'll get to that later,
Yes.
because that's the solutions segment of our program.
That's right.
The problem segment of our program is Kyle is president of a very large tenants association. He's going to give us a lot of those details.
Yeah.
And then the next step is, okay, what do we do to solve some of these problems?
Sure.
So exposing the facts the way we are with public access,
That's right.
handing out DVDs, speaking at city council meetings,
That's right.
holding their feet to the fire, and then constituting common law grand juries where you can actually bring the wrongdoers into the court, ask for restitution, is another avenue. So, and another way to solve some of these problems that I touched on a little bit with Kyle was educating and empowering tenants with some of these workshops. So before we get into all that, Kyle, I need about 5 minutes just to do an overview. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's here.
Okay, so that was Kyle, and that was Jason. And Kyle, I also brought up some of your press. So in about 10 minutes or so, I'm gonna show some of the press that you got and talk a little bit more about the problems that you're having in Newark and that you're trying to solve. And we're brainstorming at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 problems.
Oh, yeah.
And Kyle, you are friends with Eric Martindale, is that correct?
Yes.
And Eric and I were instrumental in working with New Jersey Tenants Organization, Matt Shapiro.
Yeah.
Matt Shapiro and Eric Martindale were the two fellows who got the keen insight into the new law that we got passed.
That's right.
And the new law that we got passed, which is another solution, is, and we just got that passed.
Tenants' rights, yeah.
That was
to recover attorneys' fees.
That's right. That was Senate Bill
S2018, folks.
That's right. And I started that in 2008 and got Eric involved, and Eric brought in New Jersey Tenants Organization. So we're very fortunate that we have historic legislation that was passed in New Jersey on January 21st, 2014, which hasn't gotten nearly enough press, but we got to work on that.
Well, 2014. Yeah, but this is going to be the engine to drive legislation in New York.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Kyle, we've got a partnership of the tenant leaders in Newark, reaching out to the tenants advocates and leaders in New York, and because we were successful in passing historic legislation in New Jersey, which means Governor Christie is way out in front leading on this, and where tenants can recover their attorney's fees too. And the reason why New Jersey law is stronger than New York law is because in New Jersey law, Eric Martindale and Matt Shapiro had keen insight, and what they said was tenants' rights have to be stated in the lease.
That's right.
Now, in New York, if you win against your landlord,
Real property law.
Like Kyle, your case could be one of the first big cases that if you win against the landlord at the Pavilion,
That's right.
and you had to pay attorneys, you're organizing up. Kyle, how many people are in your residence?
In both properties, we have total, in the A and B building, we have a total of 680 residents.
So right now you're leading a movement where you feel that your lease is unreasonable. We'll get into some more details later when I show you some of the press that you've gotten. But you feel your lease is unreasonable, and you're leading hundreds of tenants not to sign their leases as unreasonable. If you have to hire an attorney to help you and you win, you can recover your attorney's fees based on the law that we just got passed.
That's right.
Correct.
So this is excellent. So in Jersey, Jersey is way out front and leading in this because it's not only that you can recover your attorney's fees, but the tenant's right is stated in the lease, so it's harder to fool tenants. So this is killing them, Kyle, because we're making relationships and we're building traction. And we're getting people involved to shake up and change the system.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So now I wanted to, now my show is, this is the first time Kyle has been on my show. Kyle, rest assured, I'm going to give you time to speak. I just need to do a brief overview for about 4 minutes.
I'll get that in.
Yeah, let me get this in. Okay, my show is called Crooked Doctors because I'm exposing the hard evidence of the crooked doctors at my medical school, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. And to my horror, I discovered that some of the civil rights violations that victimized me also are industry-wide. So we have to change the industry because I, like other medical students, was illegally expelled from my medical school in violation of my civil rights. I was required to stand out in the hall while in a meeting room my professors gave false unsworn testimony against me. Now, what does this have to do with tenants issues? Well, this is the tie-in that I've been sitting on for a couple weeks. And if our technical director would be so kind as to go to the Daily News article, you're going to love this, Kyle, when you see this. Yeshiva University is being sued by me, and you want to go to the Yeshiva University article. Yeshiva University is being sued by me and 34 former students. So if you just stay on this for a minute. Okay, so this is debt. Hello?
Yeah.
If you want to chime in, Kyle, you can. This is debt-ridden, but I want to get to the point. This just came out in the Daily News. Thank you, Daily News.
Thank you.
Debt-ridden Yeshiva University. Just stay right here for a minute. Yeshiva University has to sell 10 apartment buildings in Washington Heights. Why? Because me and 34 former students are suing, and they've done so many bad things now. They lost money in the Madoff scandal. They're cash strapped, and they have to sell 10 buildings. But here's the thing, and this is how it ties into our landlord-tenant case. If you can scroll down a little bit now. There are 34 former students who are suing Yeshiva University. They're appealing their case. They lost the first round in the lower district court. These are 34 former students who are suing for, if you scroll down a little bit more, are suing for, right here, right there, where it says a federal district judge. The school got a break in January, if you highlight that. The school got a break in January where a federal district judge dismissed a costly $680 million lawsuit against Yeshiva. Can you zoom in a little bit so we can read this? These students said that they were sexually abused by the school for years. So I started broadcasting, and then this lawsuit came out, and some of the feedback I got was because of MNN and because of our speaking out, these students felt that there was a climate now where they could talk.
They felt empowered, folks.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Bill. So that lawsuit got dismissed in the lower court, but it's being appealed. Even if they lose the appeal based on statute of limitations issues, they can still go to a common law court. So Jason, if they were to reach out to members of the National Liberty Alliance and set up a common law court, these statute of limitations would not be an issue because you have real victims who are suffering, and they need just one second, and they need restitution. So Yeshiva University is in debt. Their bonds are being downgraded, and they need to sell 10 buildings. But Kyle, they can't sell 10 buildings because if you highlight the next thing, the city housing records show that several of the apartment buildings being sold have racked up dozens of city code violations. And the top offender at a building that Yeshiva University owns, located at 501 West, that should be probably, West 184th Street, counts 130 open infractions. Wow. So one building that Yeshiva University owns has 130 code violations today. So this makes my argument. You know, in addition to everything else, Yeshiva University is a slumlord. Yep. Okay, so what they do is the same thing, Kyle, that they're doing in your building. You get these buildings, you don't maintain them, the buildings decay. Deteriorate, thank you. And then we, the tenants, are the ones who have to organize and force the landlords to make the repairs.
That's right.
And so my university, Yeshiva University, is just a front. You know, they're just a criminal gang. They suck out money any way they can. And all of this starts being driven out into the open in landlord-tenant court. A similar thing is happening in Newark with your building and your tenants. Is that correct, Kyle?
Correct.
And so what you're doing is you feel that's part of the reason why you organized. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Well, also interesting what's happening is the fact that they are charging the tenants for capital improvements, and the tenants are not responsible for the building. They are only responsible for paying their lease money, correct?
Can I hear again? I can't catch that.
Jason pointed out that and thank you, Jason. Jason pointed out that the solution that they came up with was to try to fix the buildings after years of neglect. These are negligent landlords who don't do the routine maintenance that they're supposed to do. They don't invest in their buildings. They don't take care of them. The buildings decay. And then now they're forced to do repairs, and they want to mischaracterize the repairs as capital improvements. Well, they're not capital improvements.
Right.
There are no new additions at all done to the properties. They're just doing normal maintenance that should be done over time.
Exactly. And so one of the issues that you're fighting in Newark, New Jersey, is you're changing the ordinance right now to define what capital improvements are, because years of neglect and decay are being put off on you, the tenants, and it should not be. Correct?
So any
Correct.
capital improvements is still on the property owner because it's his property. The tenants are there as tenants. They're not responsible for the property. They can only enjoy the amenities, but they're not responsible for the improvements.
That's why Kyle, and if you go to the next, tab, that's why Kyle's screen, and here's his picture and some of the press that he's gotten. That's why Kyle's screen and other tenant leaders in New Jersey right now, this is happening right now, are making new law, are asking the Newark City Council to clearly define the ordinances and the definitions of capital improvement, because you're being scammed. Is that a fair
assessment?
Fair summary of where you are right now, Kyle?
Yeah.
Can you see I have your photograph up there with the Newark tenants continue their 30-year battle with management.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now.
Can you give us a brief they caught your attention because what was the issue in this article? You want to tell us about it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. The attention was caught by numerous media sources. I don't know if I can name them on
Yeah,
the air.
go ahead.
It was caught by NBC, did a story. News 12 did 3 stories. NJ.com, Star Ledger, has all caught on to this. What had happened is we received a new lease back in August when we got a new management company last July called Catwood Management. The lease has clauses in there that I believe are unjust for anyone to sign. How the issue came up was I challenged their regional property manager through an email by asking her, there's a clause in your lease that says that if I choose not to sign a lease, I will go month to month but pay a premium. But that's the question to her. How can you assess any apartment property in Newark with a premium and it's rent controlled? You cannot exceed 4%. So how are you asking for a premium? The question was never answered. It was just, you sign or get out. So I said, hey, let's see what you're going to do. So they sent letters. The letters were ambiguous with ambiguous statements saying you won't sign a lease, move out. It's also been brought to our attention someone's living with you. I've been here 8 years. No one's been living with me ever.
So what you're saying is that if you challenge an unreasonable lease, they try to circumvent the rent control laws to charge you more money if you choose to exercise your rights.
It's not. I can't even say they're trying to circumvent the rent control laws. These people have no knowledge of New Jersey law or Newark law, period. As people will read the stories and find out more details after this news broadcast, if they go look through other media sources, that this company has also been found to be operating unlicensed in the state of New Jersey. In the state of New Jersey, there's a statute that reads, if you are practicing real estate for a property this size, you have to have a licensed salesperson who is operating under a licensed broker.
And they don't have that?
They do not.
Wow, this is huge.
They do not.
So how many tenants right now? You've got 600, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got 680 residents?
Correct.
And at last count, over 400 are refusing to sign the lease?
I have direct insight that there were 400 notices given to residents to sign a new lease. I have walked door to door to residents for support, and I have about 270 residents who will support me in my court case when this court comes up. Now, the kicker, if everyone out there is listening, is so when the time came for them to give me an eviction notice, which we jumped to December, they refused my rent, which is the process they have to take to get me out. But the court summons I received was signed by a young lady by the name, God rest her soul, by Marquita Owens. Ms. Owens was a property employee of the property, but died back in August.
So your eviction notice was signed by by a property manager who was supposed to be on site, but in fact, when she signed your eviction notice, she was dead.
She was deceased.
She was dead as of August 21st, 2013. My eviction notice was signed and dated, according to the way it looks, by her December 11th, 2013.
Well, that gives new meaning of raising the dead to do a job. And the irony of that whole thing is that that's a fraud. Right there is a fraud upon the court and upon the city, and by their doing that, they will find themselves fined by even the common law grand jury, even by their own statutes.
Kyle, raising, that's funny, Jason. I enjoyed that. New meaning to raising the dead. Jason's right, and I read through some of the details here. The property managers are saying, oh, so what? You know, we've heard this before. We robo-signed, sounds like the mortgage scam. We robo-signed a bunch of blank forms for the property manager. And so they just sort of have these blank forms on file, and we just fill in the blanks. But the problem is when you go to court, you're supposed to have a real live breathing person who's supposed to swear under penalty of perjury that they're confirming these facts. You don't have dead people.
Let me interject. That's what the problem is with the mortgage catastrophe now happening in the United States, because this is robo-signing. And the thing is, if there is no true bill that you need, they are violating their organization of their proceedings, and therefore they are de facto.
Yeah, Rich, can you come back to us?
The point that they're saying that it's a robo-sign, you can't robo-sign an affirmation of information attesting to that I did not sign a lease. How did she know I didn't sign a lease? She's been deceased since August.
See, that's the issue. That's
only are you defrauding residents, because I'm not the only resident who received a notice for a court summons of eviction with her signature. You're defrauding the Superior Court of New Jersey.
That's the point, and they're poo-pooing this, and I want to write this. This is a fraud upon the court. Now, when you execute a fraud upon the court, what you should be doing, Kyle, with righteous indignation, if you'll accept a little input from me, this is a fraud upon the court. And what you should be doing is going into court and saying, I want the case dismissed in my favor with prejudice. Because if they were
literally, the case was dismissed. They dropped the case for the fact that they didn't want it on the record. They've dropped several hundred tenants' cases on the record. Well, not on the record, because they didn't want the fraud to be noticed on the record.
Well, when the common law grand jury comes up, the fraud is still there, and you can still have these individuals indicted for their for the crime.
So, Kyle, when are you scheduled? Where are you in these proceedings now? So, what they did was they tried to pull off a scam. You caught them at it. Sound familiar? You caught them on it. When they dismissed, they should have dismissed with prejudice in your favor. So where are you now? When are you going back to court? When's the court?
We are waiting for the next court summons. As of 2 weeks ago, I received my rent for March returned to me. So that tells me they are starting the process all over again.
So you have to receive another eviction notice?
Yes. Correct. Well, if they're not accepting your money, you haven't done anything. Again, they're in the wrong, because you need to put your money in escrow, and that way you go to your court and say, look, Your Honor, I put this money in escrow. So
that's all been handled already. Counsel's already taken care of that.
Great.
Do you know who your judge is going to be?
We don't know.
Okay, I'm going to help you a little bit. Here's a judge you want to stay away from. Because I did the same thing when I was exercising my rights in Jersey when I was a tenant.
I remember that.
Okay, I was presented with an unreasonable lease after my landlords had lost against me in 3 frivolous evictions and 1 small claims action.
That's right.
They presented me with an unreasonable lease. I wanted to challenge that unreasonable lease, and the reason I felt that lease was unreasonable was because my landlords had drafted a clause that said, or boilerplated a clause that said if they won against me, I would pay their attorney's fees.
Right.
So I said, well, then it's fair also that if I win against them, as I've done 4 times now, then they should pay my attorney's fees.
It's the new law now.
Right. Well, I could have gotten this in 2008, but for dishonest trickster Lawrence Sidoni, and he's part of the he's an attorney that's provided at no charge to poor people and to the elderly.
Pro bono?
No, this is through through legal aid.
Legal aid.
So he, Northeast New Jersey Legal Services took my case because I was unemployed at the time.
Right.
And Lawrence Sidoni could have gotten this by contract.
Right.
Tenants did not have to go through 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. Okay. They did not have to wait 7 years to get justice had Lawrence Sidoni done right by me.
Sure.
Okay, so Lawrence Sidoni, I was challenging an unreasonable lease, and I wanted the same provision that my landlords had asked for. And I had Judge Fast in my case. Now, because Judge Fast committed a crime against me, and I complained about this, and I'm continuing to pursue this, Judge Fast needs to be disbarred. Suddenly, he was moved from Jersey City to Newark. So the danger for you, Kyle, is you want to avoid Judge Fast at all costs.
Get away from him.
May I speak?
Sure.
I've been before Judge Fast with other residents and have had victory.
I know that you have, and Judge Fast is considered a good guy, and he wrote a book. And when it costs Judge Fast nothing, because Judge Fast's style is to act like an emperor. So as an emperor, when he has little peasants in front of him, I'm not putting you down, but when he has what he perceives to be people who can't challenge him on his level, and he shows mercy, then he looks like a great guy. But when he has someone else on his level that could challenge him, then he tries to get rid of those people. So in my case, Judge Fast did a lot of things that were inappropriate. You know, even though I won my cases, I take issue with some of what Judge Fast did. But I know everybody thinks Judge Fast is a good guy. He's not. And I'm warning you that in my case, Judge Fast, there was an opinion drafted. It was like 4 pages. I'm sorry, like 40 pages. It was a bunch of nonsense. I did not have to appeal it, and I'm going to just do this really quick, because in early September of, and this is going right now in federal court, because this is the underlying foundation for a case that's going through federal court right now. In early September of 2008, Judge Fast ruled against me erroneously. Now, I don't have to appeal his decision because, and I just wrote some notes so people can follow. In early September of 2008, Judge Fast ruled against me erroneously. But in late September of 2008, my landlords accepted my rent checks. Okay, thereby accepting me as a legal tenant and waiving all previous action against me. Okay, so when I went in front of Judge Fast, and I'm going to show this to you, I presented him, and there are more of these. I can show more, and I will. I presented him with my rent payments that were cashed. So there was no eviction. These are my rent. That's Ralph Pagnosi. He accepted my rent payments in late September of 2008. Okay, so thereby accepting me as a legal tenant and waiving all previous action against me. So when I go to Judge Fast and I say, well, Judge Fast, you know, there is no eviction. What Judge Fast did is he falsified this document intentionally. He committed a fraud, and he claimed there was an order for orderly removal. If you can pull out a little bit.
And where is his authorities from that?
Well,
what more?
We didn't do this in common law, but I can go after Judge Fast.
No, I'm just stating, but he needs to state the reason for that, because without a statute, code, or ordinance, it's erroneous. It's verboten.
Well, it's not only wrong in as you just pointed out, Jason, but there was. You know, I didn't go in front of Judge Fast on September, this is wrong. I went in front of Judge Fast on September 25th, not September 24th. This date is wrong. This date was deliberately falsified. So it was Thursday, September 25th, that I went in front of Judge Fast, and I said, here's my rent payment. The ruling you made against me previously it's irrelevant because my landlords cashed my rent payments in late September 2008, thereby accepting me as a legal tenant.
And voiding, that voids everything else, doesn't it?
Correct. They waive all previous action against me. There was no eviction on October 1st, 2008. And instead of you know, acknowledging that and reinstating possession to me and voiding the judgment, thank you, Bill, what Judge Fast did was falsified this document claiming falsely that I asked for an order for orderly removal and that I would leave my apartment by October 2nd, 2008. Now, there's a couple things you need to notice. There was no eviction on October 1st, 2008, because at least a week before, Judge Fast filled out this form, and he's saying, oh, yeah, you know, we're going to stop all action against you till October 2nd, 2008. So this shows that Jersey City Medical Center lied, that my landlord and their attorney, who's a municipal court judge right now, called up a hospital and lied about me. And this is hard evidence. It shows that I was not in front of Judge Fast on September 24th, 2008. I was in front of Judge Fast September 25th, 2008, and I never asked for an orderly removal.
Right.
So Judge Fast, Kyle, I want you to take this very seriously. Judge Fast falsified this document. Okay, this is illegal. I'm going to just scroll down a little bit, right? Okay, this is an exhibit right now in federal court. Okay, so Judge Fast is the one who signed this, and this is a fraud. If you can pull out a little bit so we can see the whole document. So I know that you won going in front of Judge Fast, and he pretends to be a good guy. He's not. Okay, when it's in Judge Fast's interest to lie, he can, will, and he did lie. He executed this fraud. So I want you to be very careful here. This is one of the reasons I came to Newark and started speaking out at city council meetings. The danger to you is in your city. We exported our danger from Jersey City to Newark.
Watch out for Judge Fast. He's going to double cross you.
And the interesting thing, too, is with all this things that are going on, this is not the only thing that's going on. The documents in mortgage cases have been denied. There is a woman in Orange whose mother, since 2002, has provided the court with the 7 payments that were missing. And every time that she goes to court, the establishment, the puppet judges, do not let that in. And technically speaking, any evidence that is not permitted to go in is a felony. So every individual involved in this case is actually going to be their own victim by their own hand.
Okay, so you're talking about another case, and so we're seeing some.
No, I'm just bringing it in. I'm just saying that they have all the cases.
Right. So what you see are patterns, right? You know, this robo signing, the excuses that a property manager just can't sign a stack of blank documents.
Well, Lydia's saying these are ramifications, are they not?
Yeah, they are. So, Kyle, what I suggested, and so you have to find out in the future whether you're going to get another court date and how they're going to deal with these unreasonable leases. If you happen to wind up going to court, Sam August is another tenant leader. City Councilman Darren S. Sharif went to court with him and sat in the courtroom for hours at a time to show his commitment to tenants.
Good guy.
So, would you be recommending, Kyle, that your tenants that your tenants vote for Darren S. Sharif in the upcoming election?
Certainly.
In light of his conduct?
Yes. Do I recommend that our association is endorsing Darren Sharif?
Terrific. Rich, do you think you could find a picture of City Councilman Darren S. Sharif and we'll show it?
Yes. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, our association is actually endorsing him.
Excellent. I'm asking our technical director if he can find a photograph of City Councilman Darren S. Sharif.
Darren S. Sharif is tenant friendly. There's not too many of them, folks. So.
So if you find yourself going to court in the future, will you let us know so we can follow your case?
Yes. Every media outlet will be well aware of the case.
Okay, good. Oh, that picture right there in the middle, on the top right there. That's excellent. We're pulling up that's perfect. We'll show this.
There's Darren Sharif.
We're going to show the city council member. So Kyle Screen, who's president of the Pavilion Tenants Association, both he and his members have endorsed City Councilman Darren S. Sharif. For the upcoming election. When's the upcoming election?
It'll be early May.
Okay, early May. So we're showing it. No, show it again. Let's keep it up there. So this is. I'm getting his name correct. It's Darren S. Sharif.
Correct.
Okay. So this is Newark, New Jersey City Council member Darren S. Sharif, who not only supports tenants' rights, but he actually went into the courtroom with Sam August for hours to make sure that he showed Judge Fast, because Judge Fast was the judge in Sam August's case, to show Judge Fast, if you try your evil again, if you try doing to Sam August what you did to Lydia Radin, I'm sitting in the courtroom and I'm using the full power and authority of my office to make sure that you do not victimize these tenants. That's heroic, don't you think, Kyle? Just give it a second, you'll come in. Hello?
I'm here, yes.
So, Kyle, don't you think that's heroic?
Huh?
Heroic, Kyle, what he did.
Yes, we commend Darren in his efforts to reach out to residents of Newark to assist them in their outside matters. He's been a very good advocate and a very good ally of residents for Newark.
There you go.
Okay, excellent. So you fully endorse him and you want him to get your vote. That's wonderful. Okay. So if you come back to us for a moment.
Lydia.
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
One thing that's very interesting, in one of the documents of the jurist documents on National Liberty Alliance, there is a thing called, there's an article called the legal process. And in this 8-page document, it talks about how the system bamboozles people to think that they must obey the statutes. They actually intimidate the people. And it's when you open up that file, folks, you will be amazed how much power they don't have and how much power you have over their fiction statutes. End.
So, Kyle, what Jason is segueing towards is that he's part of a national movement. We have two, I'm going to grossly oversimplify.
Sure.
We have two legal systems, one based on statutes and codes from the Roman tradition, and one based on common law in the British system.
I got it.
So in common law, you don't worry about statutes and codes. You worry about precedent and a fact pattern that's similar, and you worry about consistency.
Sure.
You worry about whether you have a victim. You ask the victim to come in, present their evidence. You ask the wrongdoer to come in, and you ask for restitution because it's a way of keeping the community whole. Now, people who have argued common law are people like William Rehnquist, for example, argued common law principles in another case that I presented. But basically, when we talk about, when I was arguing, listen, I need to have my attorney's fees given to me in restitution so I can be made whole again, we're arguing common law principles. So with your kind indulgence, Kyle, I'm going to show the National Liberty Alliance website. You may be interested in this also because this is your backup. If anything happens, you know you can always constitute, just one second, you can always constitute a common law grand jury. You can call your peers in. You've got over 270 of them. You only need 25. You can constitute a common law grand jury. You can demand that the wrongdoers be brought into court. The court officer is the sheriff. This is the movement that's happening now to empower us. So we have
the power of indictment.
Correct. So should everything go awry and somehow, we all hear horror stories of how the puppet judges misconstrue, fabricate, hurt people. Absolutely. Lawyers are backstabbing you and cooperating in the crime and corruption. But Kyle, just like you can lead your tenants association, you can participate in a common law grand jury, and you can ask those very same tenants to constitute a common law grand jury, and you can, with 25 people, you can seize power back. And of course, the people who've been running the show to now don't want you to know that you can do this, but the National Liberty Alliance teaches you how. Now, this is what I didn't get a chance to tell you before the show, Kyle. The National Liberty Alliance was interviewed by law enforcement, and they were thrilled. They laid out their principles, and law enforcement had to bless them and say, what you're doing is lawful, and it's given to us by our founding fathers and the Constitution. So with your kind permission, Kyle, because it's not only that these horrible things are happening, but what do we do to stop them?
Exactly.
So this is one thing that Jason's doing, if you'd show the National Liberty Alliance website. This is a national movement to constitute common law grand juries. And you're not going to learn this overnight, just like Kyle and the tenants had to educate themselves with tenant law. Right. It's going to take a little bit of time. Could you highlight Jason Berg, Hudson County, right there?
There you go.
So, Kyle, I'm sure there's plenty on your plate. What with fighting your court battle, holding down your job, and leading your tenants. But sometime in the future, Jason Berg is the state organizer and the county organizer for New Jersey. And they're doing all the legal work and they're the feet on the ground. They're doing all the work to make sure that if, by some nightmare, Judge Fast does to you what he does to me, execute a fraud, and you're victimized, that you have recourse to a common law grand jury.
They'll be held accountable. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the National Liberty Alliance. These are they have a Monday night weekly conference call that in the future you may want to join in on, the Monday night conference call. You can click on that. We'll show it.
Okay.
So there's a live Monday night conference call where this can be explained, and Jason has his own conference call. But Kyle, what this is backup, because this is one you can show the regular court system. If you do to me what you did to Lydia Radin, you can come back to us.
Well, let me just add, when you go into court, you can demand that when a person comes in and you have your documents, all your documents are capitalized. Why are they capitalized?
Well, Jason, I don't want you going into all that because you're going way too far into
wood for the trees.
Well,
we can do that. We can.
At this point, every document that our civil servants, not our masters, do by their codes is to make us corporations. We're not.
Yeah, so you're going way over the head of what people have educated themselves. If you want to learn more, then you can call Jason Berg, and you can participate in his regular weekly conference call. If you want to show Jason Berg's phone number again. If you want to learn more, because I want to give Kyle some time to react to this.
We don't have so much time on the show, Jason.
Yeah. Wow. And, this is not the only show that you're going to do.
That's right.
Well, I'm just trying to educate everyone out there, because if you don't have the facts, you're going to be misled.
All right, we got it, Jason.
So what we're encouraging the folks out there, and, Kyle and his tenants will do this in their own good time, is what we're trying to do, if you come back to us, is what we're trying to do, Kyle, is there are protections that we're trying to build in the system. So we changed the law. You have a city council member who's willing to go to court with you. You're organizing up your tenants. One of the things that we discussed, and I'm going to hold this up, is I gave this to, you're changing the ordinance to define capital gains. Are you still with us, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm here.
Now, I'm going to show this, and then I'd like to get your reaction. This is a flyer that I gave to Darren Sharif. This is what the tenants steal good ideas from us in New York. Do I have this upside down or right? Oh, yeah. Steal good ideas from us in New York, because I gave this to, this is our city council member in New York, Helen Rosenthal, and in cooperation with the Manhattan Borough President, there are these free housing workshops every month at the Goddard Riverside Community Center. And look, there's one coming up in April and May and June. You may want to stop by. And what they do is they have attorneys from the Urban Justice Center. I went to the one on March 5th. And there is there's a senior staff attorney that gives a lecture. You can stop and ask questions. But there are at least, there are other attorneys there. When I was there, there were 6 attorneys. You could sign up, go into a private room, and sit down and talk to the attorneys about whatever issues were coming up in your case. So some of the money, this is something you might consider, some of the money that the city council has to spend, and it was a modest amount, it's a modest amount, went to pay for attorneys to provide these workshops to tenants in New York. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Kyle, but when we were at the city council meeting, the last city council meeting, Mitch Kahn from NJTO, New Jersey Tenants Organization, claimed that we can't get an accurate number, but 75 to 80% of the tenants in Newark, I'm sorry, 75 to 80% of the residents in Newark, New Jersey were tenants. So certainly you should be able to access a few $1,000s to put on workshops to educate tenants about their rights. What do you think, Kyle? Come back to that.
It'd be great to put something like that on, but I think right now the residents of Newark, we definitely want to get past this major hurdle to get this lease abolished from even being put out. One of the major things with this lease that people are in fear of is it's happening more and more. I've heard about it in Newark, East Orange, even Hillside. The landlords are now requiring their tenants to get insurance.
Oh, another aspect that we didn't touch on. They're requiring that they're putting what they're trying to do, because they're corporations that are talking to each other, and that's why we need to have tenants like us talk to each other.
Organizing.
Yeah, that's why we're organizing across two states here. And thank you for bringing this up, Kyle, because another provision, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, another provision in that lease that you're fighting is they're trying, the corporation's trying to offload its responsibility to purchase insurance to the tenants. So they're trying to force you to buy insurance for your apartment. Is that correct?
Yeah, not only are they trying to force you to buy a liability policy, the lease states you waive all of your rights to liability.
Oh my God, that's huge. Thank you for bringing that up. Because again, these are big, broad brushstrokes. These are big themes. So not only do they want you to pay for insurance so that they can offload their responsibility to you, but you're waiving your rights to make any claims?
Correct, and my visitor's rights.
And what's really outrageous right now, if you have a fire in your apartment, the property owner is not responsible for your property. He's only responsible for the structure. And by them doing that, that's repugnant.
Correct. I think everyone gets the point that liability coverage for an apartment is great. But the majority of the incidents that are happening in any old building that's not been maintained, the neglect from the landlord spills into the tenant's apartment.
Right.
And it becomes a headache on the tenant.
Right. And they shouldn't have the right to do that. Again, anything that is not written by the Constitution is unconstitutional, and that they're adding trite to their fiction.
I've been actually told this will be one of the first cases heard in New Jersey arguing insurance.
So you're going to make history too.
Correct. And you need insurance, but again, the building owner by law has to have his own insurance, and anything that goes wrong inside the building falls upon him. But if it happens in your apartment is destroyed, you don't have any personal apartment insurance, you are burnt out totally.
Yeah, but you see what they're doing is they're trying to maximize their profit. They want to suck as much money out as they can and offload their responsibilities as additional expenses that the tenant has to take on independent. You would only do this if you owned your own home. You wouldn't do it because at the end of the day, what are you insuring there? You don't own that. This is the same fight that you had, that Bill had.
Yeah, we're finding out. Yeah,
because his window got damaged. He's like, well, you have insurance. Replace the window, because I'm not going to replace the window. If I leave the apartment, I don't take my investment in the building, that window with me.
That's right.
And this business of, just very quickly, this business of you waiving any liability, these are the false myths that are being put out there. In my case, I lost my medical career because I refused to sign an illegal contract where my medical school hurt me, and they claim now that I should participate in some stupidity, that I should do some stuff, and that I would waive all my liability. I'm like, no, your school lied. You fraudulently induced me into entering this school. Luckily, I was lucky enough that they stipulated to that. And now that you've hurt me, you want me to participate and interact with you in even more shenanigans. And if you hurt me again, you want me to sign a contract that says when you hurt me, I waive all liability and I let you get away with it. So Kyle, I've been fighting this legal battle for about 20 years now. No, I will not sign a contract that says when you hurt me again, I'm going to waive liability.
And here's a point of information. When you sign your licenses with all the states, they make you swear and give all your rights to the state, and they make your right into a privilege. And I don't know about you. When did George Washington need a horse license to go across the plains of New Jersey?
Let me ask you a question here, Kyle. So it's not only that they want you to buy insurance. Got it. Are you still with us, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, it's not only that they want you to buy insurance. Now, that insurance is supposed to state that if they want you to purchase your own individual insurance as if you were a condo. Right. Is that correct?
That's good.
Correct.
Okay, and you're a tenant. You don't own anything, right. So the property owner is supposed to buy insurance because it's his property. He's insuring. So when you buy insurance, you could easily, for, I don't know, very cost effectively, for, I don't know, $100 or less, you could buy renter's insurance, but they're not asking you to buy renter's insurance so that if something happens, you are protecting your property. They're asking you to buy something else. Is that correct, Kyle?
They're similar in price, but let me explain the point to everyone out there, because people will say, well, renter's insurance is very cheap, it's only $100 for the year. People have to remember, right now, we are in a tough economy. We have people all over this state, all over this world, who can't even afford health insurance. So how can you expect someone to pay for a liability policy?
But that's not, this is different. Renter's insurance is about $100.
No, it's not. I'm paying about $400 for my apartment a year.
No, I have some residents who do have it, and they pay about maybe like $300, $200 for the year. But I wouldn't care if it was $1 a month. If someone is here on a fixed income, and you're now pressuring them to buy a policy,
it's real money.
How can they afford anything?
They can't.
Well, aside from
there is no state law, there is no city law that argues that it is a requirement of a tenant to purchase a liability policy.
That's right. They're trying to make the make the law
and
real,
this is something that I am arguing not only on behalf of myself, on behalf of all residents of Newark, and hopefully all of New Jersey. People agree with me, even in New York, that if this landlord wins this case, this will trickle down to other properties in other cities where they can force upon a resident to buy insurance.
And when I got my renter's insurance, I wasn't insuring for liability. I was insuring my property. So if the landlord had not maintained his building, and I don't know, a water pipe broke and the water got into my computer, they would replace my computer. I was not buying liability insurance. It's the landlord's, because exactly how do you buy, why are you responsible for buying liability insurance? The landlord is supposed to be responsible. Let's say
law, if you have a mortgage, you have to have a mortgage insurance on your building. So they're even going against the state statutes and even the code that might be there, federal codes that might be there. These people are doing some really heavy, stupid drugs.
So, Kyle, it's not only that they want you to buy liability insurance, but you're also supposed to sign a waiver where you give up your rights if anything happens to you. Can you explain that?
There are a few clauses in there that state you waive your right to liability, you waive your right for your visitor's liability, and also you waive your right to a jury.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No. Because one of the things that Ann Cunningham said to us, you weren't part of this show, but one of the things Ann Cunningham said to us, and you could go speak to Ann Cunningham if you could. Ann Cunningham is, it also works. You could go to talk to Ann Cunningham. One of the things she first told us, and you can talk to her every Wednesday, she helps, she's the housing specialist. Remember when she told us this? She's like, she would advise all of her tenants that says, if you have to go, if you have to go to landlord-tenant court, always, always ask for a jury trial. And she would say 9 times out of 10, as a guesstimate, 9 times out of 10, if you demanded a jury trial, the landlord would drop everything because they don't want the exposure. They don't want people to know the dirty tricks that they pull. This is Ann Cunningham on my show. No, 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 no. Anytime you go to court, make sure you demand a jury trial. And it was her experience after decades of helping people in landlord-tenant court. It was her experience that when you ask for a jury trial, 9 times out of 10, the landlord would drop the case, because they don't want that. So they're asking you, you can zoom out a little bit, they're asking you right now to sign a lease that says if you have to go to court, you waive your right to a jury trial. They're gaming the system. Is that this is outrageous?
And that contract is actually de facto because they're violating the person's First Amendment. The person's right to a fair trial.
That contract, excellent insight. Thank you, Jason. That contract is unconstitutional because it's violating your Fifth Amendment right to due process. You have the right to demand a jury trial. On its face, that lease is unconstitutional. What do you think, Jason? What do you think, Kyle?
No, and the landlord has refused to even negotiate. And at this point, there should be no negotiation. They're not been licensed. So that's why this lease is just disgusting to look at.
So it's not only that the lease is wrong because they're unlicensed. There's so many good points here. Not only is they're negotiating these leases, they're unlicensed, so they can't even pull this off, but they're violating your constitutional right. You know, Kyle, I have to commend you. If it weren't for people like you who are willing to take the risk and who are willing to challenge the system, how many people do you think, Kyle, would fall for these kind of scams, these criminal schemes? If it weren't,
many people would fall for these scams, and it's sad, but I'm actually very proud. Since I stepped up, I've seen a lot of residents come out for support, a lot who are actually standing their ground, and I encourage everyone out there that if you believe is unconstitutional, unjust, stand up for your rights. I say all the time, as long as you let your landlord do and say what they want, you are nothing to them but profit. That's all they care about. And they will walk all over you much as they can.
And if you look in the UCC code, Unified Commercial Code, there might be even more violations that they are doing. Again, that's their Bible, not ours. And again, every person that goes into a court has the right to question the authority of the judge in that case. Even in a simple landlord-tenant landlord, you have the right to ask for a court of record.
Okay, Jason, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're going out in 30 seconds. Kyle, we need to find out what happens and how you fight back. So would you be willing to come back on the show and give us updates and let us know what's happening?
Well, definitely.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to archive this show on my YouTube channel, Crooked Doctors, and we're going to follow along, and Kyle will hopefully be a semi-regular on our show.
That'd be great.
Fantastic. Kyle.
Stay tuned, folks.